Hello, folks. Just want to give you an update on what's going on with YouTube, how it's going to affect the channel, how it's going to possibly affect you, if at all. So, if you haven't heard, in a nutshell, there's changes coming to how managed networks and affiliates work within YouTube networks. Not going to get into all the details because it's not super exciting to anyone who's not part of it. What's important right now is that on Monday, YouTube initialized YouTube started a new system where with a content ID, basically, which is causing a lot of people to get scanned and get content ID matches on their videos. What is a content ID match? In a nutshell, what that means is that the automatic scanner found something in a video that it believes belongs to someone else. So if I'm doing a Dark Souls death compilation and I have Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On in the background, then the content ID match would almost certainly pick up that wonderful song and flag my video as having that content. So what does that mean? Do you get it? Does that hurt your account? Does it get the video taken down? Most of the time what happens is that you just cannot monetize that video. So if in the above scenario with the Dark Souls Celine Dion compilation video, which I considered doing at one point, would be that my video stays up, but whoever owns the right to that song would put ads on the video, and then I would no longer make money on that video, but they would. Even if you don't monetize, that can happen. So let's say I didn't monetize the video, but I still had Celine Dion's music in it. If it caught it, it would throw ads on it, and then the ads would go to Celine Dion because she really needs the money. She's really hurting, I understand. So anyway, that's the long and short of what happens when you get a content ID match. Now, what you can do when you get an ID match, and this is where a lot of confusion is coming in, and I'm seeing a lot of little panic over this. And I think this does suck. This does suck that this is happening. But there's a little over-the-top panic going on, and a lot of this is due to how poorly YouTube explains their system to anyone. In a nutshell, I keep saying in a nutshell, sorry, that's one of my go-to phrases. If you get a match, let's say I'm playing a game, a great example because this keeps happening. Let's say that I'm playing Hotline Miami, or I have videos of Hotline Miami up. I'll get an email and a notification on my channel page that says, hey, this video has been claimed by someone else. It'll tell me who that someone is. Now I can acknowledge it, which basically doesn't do anything. It just says, okay, yeah, you're right. They totally owe the rights to this. Or I can dispute it, or I can ignore it. Ignoring it is pretty much the same as acknowledging it, for the most part. Anyway, so if I dispute it, I'm saying that either they don't own the rights to the material that I'm posting, or something else like fair use. Fair use is going to be what you're going to see way, way more often with Let's Plays and reviews and previews and things of that nature. So you can say, look, I have the right to use this because it's fair use. Now, before I go on, I want to make very, very clear here. Hotline Miami, the publishers, Devolver, are absolutely not to blame for this. In fact, Devolver has gone out of their way to try to find out why this is happening. Well, I think they know why, but to get this cleared up. So do not hold this against Devolver. They have been absolutely phenomenal as far as dealing with this. The culprit, at least in this particular case of Hotline Miami, would be someone who owns the right to some of the music you hear in the background. And to their credit, I've gotten maybe 5 content ID matches on various Hotline Miami videos. I've contested every one, and like 3 of them have come back. They've released it. So it looks like they're releasing them. It's just taking a while to go through the vast numbers of matches that they're getting. So that's the system. Now, here's what people are afraid of. When I dispute a claim, and I misunderstood how this worked a few days ago. When you dispute a claim, they can either acknowledge it and say, oh, you know what, you're right, you're free to use this. Their ads are taken off. If I was monetizing the video, it goes back to me getting the money for the ads. If I wasn't monetizing before, it just goes back to unmonetized, no ads. So if they say, no, you're wrong, we still claim it, they can reject your dispute. Here's where the confusion came in. And again, this is where I was actually very confused about this until there was a thread in the Let's Play subreddit, which cleared this up for me. And I'll link that in the description below if you're interested in reading. But if you dispute a video, nothing bad can happen to your channel. I was under the impression that if you filed a dispute and the company not only rejected it, like maybe they took it to the next level, you could actually get a strike on your account. Strikes are very, very bad. You can only get 3 strikes on your account, and your YouTube account will be terminated. Even at 1 strike, some negative things happen, I believe. I think that you're limited to 15-minute videos. I'm not sure if you can monetize with 1 strike or not. Also, networks will not take you almost ever if you have a strike, but that's a whole nother issue on the networks. And I might get into that in this video. So that's the really good thing to find out, was that you can dispute videos and it's not possible to get a strike. As far as I've known and read and looked into this, because believe me, that was one of the worst parts of the system to me, was thinking, even if I think I had the fair use right to use this video, it might still get a strike. But because I disputed it. The thing is, too, a lot of these claims come from companies that have absolutely no right to the material. Either from an honest error, but there are also companies out there that are basically built around abusing YouTube's system. And what they will do, I'm trying not to say in a nutshell again, sorry. Again, one of my go-to phrases. What they will do is they will set it up so that people get flagged for this material that they don't even have the rights to. And the at least semi non-asshole-ish ones, if you dispute it, they'll just release it because they don't want to deal with it. They want to rely on people who are too afraid to dispute or just don't care. And then they'll get free ad revenue on videos that they had nothing to do with. Now, some of the real big assholes will actually fight you on it. Will actually try to reject your dispute. And again, most people are, especially if your dispute gets rejected, they're just going to stop. They're like, you know what? I don't want to risk my channel. I don't have money for a lawyer. So I'm just going to let it alone. So they rely on that. And those companies are allowed to exist and thrive because YouTube doesn't seem to have any kind of penalty system for false claims. You could claim stuff all day. There's got to be, surely, I would hope, some kind of penalization system, so I couldn't just go start claiming a bunch of videos without having any rights whatsoever. And keep in mind too, a lot of this is automated. This is like an automatic system. It's not usually not one person just looking at these videos, even though supposedly that's changing too. But I don't know the details of that. So in a nutshell, that's where we're at. People are very angry right now because they're getting lots of content ID matches, a lot of them on old videos. Most of my content ID matches, except for Hotline Miami, have been old games. Like I've been getting content ID hits on videos. I'm watching my cat clean itself. I've been getting a lot of videos or hits on like Skyrim videos from 2 years ago. And this is not uncommon. I'm hearing this a lot, that people are getting hit for videos that are a year to 2 years, if not older. So it's an issue. And you know, I was really dreading Monday. I knew this was coming down Monday. I was really, really dreading it. There's more changes coming in supposedly in January, which may or may not be awful. Probably bad. But so I was really dreading this, and it's not been good. It's definitely not been good. It sucks. I've actually gotten off pretty damn lucky. I think I've gotten maybe 8 or 9 content ID matches, and I've got almost 3,000 videos uploaded. And it's still going through the system, so maybe it just hasn't hit the bulk of my videos yet. But I've been really lucky. I've been hearing people like Nerd Cubed and I never know how to pronounce his name, SSHOTPC, whatever it is. I think he got a bunch of hits as well. And so they're having to go through and dispute. And that's the thing, too. A lot of big YouTubers don't understand how this system works because it's just, again, it's not explained. And, I've tried to do what my little part was, is basically linking to that Reddit thread to those folks so that they know that, hey, you don't have to just stop uploading videos, just dispute the ID, or dispute the claim. And it's just, it's very important to differentiate between a content ID match and a strike. A strike is way, 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 way worse than content ID. Because again, you can only have 3 strikes on your account, I believe, before your account's terminated. But you can have, 100 content ID claims, and it doesn't matter. So where does that leave the channel? What does that leave what I'm doing? How does that affect you? As far as the channel, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I've mentioned before, I would love to do this as a full-time job. However, I'm also very realistic. I don't have anywhere near the number of subscribers to do that full-time right now. And that's okay. I'm in the middle of looking for employment. But I would, in the future, a year from now, 6 months from now, 2 years from now, whatever it takes to do this full-time. So if this doesn't get ironed out, it could be a serious problem. And I'll have to look at other alternatives. Either give it up entirely, which I definitely don't want to do, or look at other avenues, such as Twitch. Maybe I don't do YouTube very much, but start doing Twitch streaming a lot more often, because they are much more friendly to video game content producers. So, but for the time being, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop uploading. Now, one thing I will do, however, is I don't want to support companies that are doing nothing about this, or that are pushing the content ID claims. Some companies, which I thought were bad, are actually doing good. Capcom, in particular, I kind of shit talk Capcom a little bit. And the next day they came out and were like, hey, look, we're checking into this whole thing. Let us know if you get these matches, blah, blah, blah. So kudos to them. I absolutely kudos to Capcom for looking into this. However, there are other companies that seem to be pretty quiet on the whole thing. It's some of the typical companies you would expect. Nintendo, Sega, as far as I know, is not really doing anything. But though, to be fair, I haven't been hearing a lot of actual matches for Sega content, other than that whole debacle a few months ago, a year ago, whatever. Konami, a lot of people are getting hit with Konami for Metal Gear, things like that. Castlevania. So that I will not be doing a Castlevania Lord of Shadow let's play like I had planned, unless this gets sorted out by Konami. But this could have been a lot worse. Here's the thing: this could have been so much worse. My worst case scenario thoughts were, I envisioned, this getting no press at all. Maybe 1 or 2 small websites end up covering it. No major personalities talk about it. Half the videos get flagged as content ID, and you can't dispute them, and you end up getting strikes and all these terrible things. But I have to say, while the situation's still not good, it's not anywhere near as bad as it could have been. I've seen several big news outlets talking about it. Gaming news, not, it's not going to be on the New York Times anytime soon. But I'm seeing, larger game news sites covering it. And the good thing about that is the more bigger sites cover it, the more other sites will cover it, because they don't want to be left behind, or they want to put their own spin on it. I'm seeing a lot of big personalities talk about this. Obviously, big YouTubers are talking about it. Nerd Cubed, The Rad Brad, Northern Lion, people like that are talking about this. But you're also seeing people like Adam Sessler talk about it, and it's no secret that I'm not a fan of Adam Sessler. But I respect that he's talking about this. As a matter of fact, as of right now, he's actually looking for people to talk with him on the next Address the Cess to talk about this issue. So props to him for talking about this. I tip my Metroid hat to you, sir. But there's definitely been a lot of talk about it, and there's been pushback. I don't know if you really call it pushback, but a lot of support from a lot of developers, everywhere from the indie range to some of the big ones. StarCraft, Blizzard rather, the StarCraft Twitter account in particular was like, hey man, if you are getting these notifications, please dispute them so we can release them ASAP. So, Capcom did as well. Ubisoft, I don't want to get into a tangent, but man, I used to crap on Ubisoft all the time because they did so much dumb stuff. Remember that always online nonsense? They have really turned the ship around. I'm getting a lot of respect for Ubisoft. because they seem to be like, whoa, you know what? Let's stop being anti-consumer and let's hop on the good person train. And they've really done it. So I'm very pleased with Ubisoft. But they've also made a statement and linked several times to a statement they have which says, look, you can monetize your Let's Play videos. We want you to do that. Go right ahead. So props to them. I want to see more companies doing that. Again, Konami, Sega, Nintendo, whoever else hasn't been saying anything. Obviously, indie devs and smaller publishers are absolutely all over Twitter saying, this is nonsense. Please, you have blanket permission to monetize your Let's Plays. It's fine, etc. So, all in all, like I say, it's gone much, much, much better than I had anticipated. I haven't got hit by that many IDs yet, and roughly half the ones that I've submitted for dispute have already come back. I think they have 30 days to respond to a dispute, and then it automatically gets the dispute, or the claim gets auto-released, I believe, at that point. And I'm assuming that part of the reason they're not getting back quickly is because they're probably getting flooded, because as I mentioned, Monday was when this new system went into effect. So now, so how does this affect you? In terms of my channel, probably not much. I'm going to keep trying to do what I'm been doing. Again, I might not cover games by companies or developers who are being lax about this, or who are just flat out saying, no, you can't monetize our videos. Probably not going to cover them. But other than that, shouldn't notice any effect. Now, how does it affect you otherwise? You might see less content from people who you really enjoy. Again, NerdCube, the Rad Brad. I think Northernlion's still just kind of doing his thing. But there are several large channels, much, much larger than mine, that I'm sure many of you are subscribed to, who have said that they are either going to not upload at all until they can get this sorted out, or they're going to upload a lot less. So that means less quality content for you guys. But if you want sub-quality content, I have lots of videos that you can watch, of course. So one thing I want to address, because it's going to come up, it comes up all the time, is, well, why should Let's Players be able to monetize content? Why should people be able to play a game, talk over it, and monetize? They didn't make the game, they make the graphics, they didn't program it, they didn't do the art, they didn't do the sound, they didn't do the music. So why should they? They're just talking over the game. Few facets to that. One, people arguing that they have the legal right to do it. In America, they might have the right to do that. There's a whole fair use thing, and with games, it's a gray area. But the thing is, as far as I know, nobody's ever taken a game company to court, because nobody's that big. So it hasn't really been settled in the courts. So aside from that, aside from the technically legal or not legal aspect, it's just a stupid thing to do. The legality is only a part of it. Just because something is legal doesn't mean it's a smart business decision. If the CEO of Nintendo, whose name escapes me right now, said that he thought all people, he released a press release that said all people outside of Japan are bumbling idiots and they have to dumb their games down to appease the drooling masses, would that be legal? It sure would be. Nothing legal about insulting people in a public press release. Would it be a smart business decision? Probably not. I would say that would be a negative for them to do. So just because something's legal doesn't mean it's intelligent or makes good business sense. The other thing is, what are they really doing? What are they doing? What is a company like Nintendo doing when they say, we have the rights to this video, we're going to put our ad, or we're going to put ads on it? It's not even their ads. It's just whatever ads YouTube wants, I think. I don't think you can be specific enough to say only play Nintendo ads. I think they just get the ad revenue from it. So what do they get from that? People don't understand how little you make off ads. First of all, a lot of people use ad block now. That's a whole nother discussion, but it's just a fact that a lot of people use ad block. So if you use ad block, watch a video, that doesn't count. You don't get ad revenue for that. Secondly, it's like you get like 1/10 of a penny for every person who watches a video with an ad on it, something like that. It's going to be different for different people, but let's be incredibly generous and say it's a penny for every ad watch. Again, not counting people who have ad block. That's still not very much at all. So what is Nintendo getting when they say, you know what, Chugga Conroy, you've got all these Nintendo videos, we're going to throw our ads on them? Well, Chugga Conroy, I can't speak for him, but if I were him, I would say, you know what, I kind of don't want to cover Nintendo games anymore. Because, one, I think he does it for a job. I don't know if he does YouTube full-time or not. But, and it's also just it's just a slap in the face. Right? It's not even if he's not making a living on it. It's kind of like Nintendo saying, hey, look, hey, thanks for advertising our games for us, but we're also going to ask that you give us that 1 penny for every ad blocked view that we get. It's just kind of, it's insulting. But again, if you do this as a job, then it's a problem. Look at people who cover minigame, and do this as a job, like Nerd Cubed. So let's say he does a series on Luigi's Mansion, right? The new Luigi's Mansion. Nintendo claims it. How much do you think Nerdcube is going to want to cover Nintendo games from that point on? Probably not very much if he thinks Nintendo is going to throw ads on it. So now you've got many less eyeballs seeing Nintendo games. And so he's covering more of your competitors' games who don't do this. So it's just and for what? What do you get out of it? A couple pennies from ad revenue versus losing eyeballs and ill will with your gamers for just being douchebags. So it's just a lose-lose, stupid scenario. Again, the legal situation, even if you've acknowledged that they had the full legal right to do so, it's just stupid to do it. It's just really, really dumb to do. Look at games like Minecraft. Do you think Minecraft would be anywhere near as popular if it was as it is without YouTube? Almost certainly not. And I mean, as someone who has a small YouTube channel, I still get comments about various games, Let's Plays, not even my previews, that say, man, I started watching you play this and I bought it myself so I could play it. And I hear that all the time from other Let's Players. I kind of try to keep up with that. So I hear all the time from other Let's Players that they have fans who will tell them, oh, I bought this game because of you, or I've bought games because I watched other people play them. Super Meat Boy. I saw like a gameplay clip or a trailer or something of it once, and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't be into that game. I don't think I'd like that. And I started watching I Am the Carnage. I think that's his username. He changed his username. Video Game Carnage was his name at one point. Anyway, I watched him start playing it, and I was like, wow, this actually looks fun. So I bought it. That's definitely not the only time that has ever happened. There's been many times. Another example, Northern Lion doing the Crusader Kings series. I started watching that. I get interested in it. And the girl that I'm dating also watched it and was like, oh, this sounds really cool. And we both bought it. And I showed the videos to a friend of mine. He's like, that game looks cool. He bought it. So, imagine this was a Nintendo scenario. They lose those sales because Northern Lion probably wouldn't have covered those games because he knows that he can't get any ad revenue and he uses that money to live. So he's not going to cover those games. Now, obviously, Nintendo's a huge corporation, right? And not being covered by some YouTubers, even the big ones, isn't going to make or break them. But it's still money that they are losing as opposed to just getting the piddly ad revenue that they're going to get. I think it's just an incredibly stupid trade-off. Why get less money when you could get more? I think that's my point. It's like, well, it doesn't matter. Because I see somewhere, well, Nintendo's a multi-million-dollar or multi-billion-dollar corporation making all this money. They don't care. It's like, again, why would you intentionally choose to make... If I walked up to you and said, I'm going to give you $100 or I'm going to give you $10, which would you want? Would you just take the 10? I mean, you have to be an idiot to take the 10. And you're obviously, well, what's the drawback? Well, there isn't one. Just take 100 or you take 10. There's no penalty for taking the 100. Anyone would take the 100. In this case, Nintendo is taking the $10 bill and throwing away the 100 for whatever reason, for whatever stupid reason that they've deemed to be smart. But I mean, Nintendo's yet another whole video that we could talk about. incredibly stupid decisions that they've been making. But anyway, I think we've gone on quite long enough. I just want to give you guys an update on what's going on. I'm thinking about doing a Chronicles of a Let's Player about this as well, since this is a pretty big change. Because again, there's another big change coming up in January, supposedly, and I don't want to get into that right now. But in a nutshell, because I don't even understand it entirely, but it's going to have something to do with how YouTube decides how long it takes you to monetize a video, and networks have basically become completely worthless to 95% of the people in them. But again, that's a topic for a whole other discussion. So anyway, thank you guys for continuing to watch and to continue support just by watching. I'll keep you up to date. Again, I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. I've always said that even if tomorrow it was impossible to monetize video game videos, I'd still make them. Now I would make less because I would not be as driven, because there's no, I'm trying to think how to say this without sounding like that's the reason I do it. Because there's less drive to it, right? I mean, if I can't really think of a good analogy, but just to say I would still do it, but I would probably do a lot less than I do now. It's just a very driving force to know that if I do this well, if I become very good at this, or if I become popular, one of the two, you don't have to be good and popular, you can just be popular. If I could actually make this, I know that I could do this as a job. It would be a dream job for me. I think a dream job is something that when you're doing it, you'd not rather do anything else. If you're doing a job or doing a thing and you're making money from it and you can't think of anything you'd rather be doing, that's a dream job. And that would be this for me. Anyway, didn't mean to get off on that. But anyway, wow, I could say anyway, and what was the other thing? Oh, in a nutshell. Wow. I need to broaden my diction, I guess. Anyway, god damn it, stop it. Just stop. All right. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I just want to give you an update on what's going on, why you might see some changes, why you might hear some complaining, probably a lot of complaining, depending on how into this whole thing you are. If you're, leave your feedback in the comments. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. But yeah, we will continue on, and you might see a new Chronicles of a Let's Player, those who are interested. So anyway, yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.